Damn. It's been a long time since I've done this. Let's see if I remember how to do all this stuff. Talking and whatnot. Theme music. Welcome back to the KJ from OC podcast, just the audio version. I'm your host, KJ from OC, and yes, it has been well over a year, I believe, since I've done one of these on my own, and just the audio and not the videos and all that kind of stuff. It's been a different kind of year, and it's good to be back on the microphone and not behind a camera or in front of a camera or all that kind of stuff. Like, let me just do my thing. Speaking of my thing, that sounds bad. You can find me doing my thing on Facebook at KJ from OC Podcast, or my personal page, Kingston John Man. You can find me on there. Just go ahead and friend request me. I don't always let people in because I'm not always sure who the hell people are. I don't need a bunch of MAGA people trying to get in and try to talk to me about MAGA and why Trump's amazing, because he's not. I still cannot stand that guy. So that hasn't changed. A big surprise, right? But yeah, so if you're sitting in the queue like a few people are right now, you might want to just message me and just say, hey, I wanted to join your page because of your podcast and join in on the conversations, etc. But yeah, so you can find me there. You can also find me on Instagram at KJ from OC, Twitter, KJ from OC. No more Snapchat. I'm done with Snapchat. I'm too old. I'm like 100. Nobody wants to see me on Snapchat. And the people I was Snapchatting anyway, they're not even Snapchatting me back. These people I know. So you know what? Obviously, either you guys are too busy or you don't care. Or, whatever, right? So we're just going to move on from Snapchat. What else am I on? Am I on anything else? I don't think so. But man, it does feel good to be back here in my room, 1110 Studios, by myself, doing the damn thing. I had a thought a couple of weeks ago that I should start doing these again because I've really missed it, and I know I hate editing. I really hate editing. Matter of fact, there's a show that is pending because I really hate editing, and it's like 5 months behind. I actually interviewed like 4 people, and it's probably would have been about an hour or so long. But now that I'm back doing this, you guys are probably going to get that other one too in the next week or so. But anyway, I'm back, and we're going to be talking this week about LeBron versus Kobe versus Jordan and why I think the arguments are stupid. Speaking of stupid, we're going to be talking about Kanye West and him tweeting because he loves to tweet. Speaking of stupid, we're going to be talking about a New Jersey coach who was fired for a stupid reason. Speaking of stupid, we're going to be talking about a New Jersey superintendent for a high school who was fired for being stupid. And then we're going to go into Fair Not Fair and talk about the Childish Gambino video, This Is America, and talk about the critiques he's been getting and see if they are fair or not fair. But as we do in the old school, first topic. I've heard these arguments for several years now, but more so over the last couple of years. And I gotta say, I got involved in these arguments a lot. And the one point people always bring up is, well, Jordan got 6 rings, Kobe got 5, LeBron has 3, but he had to go join such and such team to go do it, or whatever, or he's lost 5 or whatever, right? All these, and those are all facts. Those are all facts. There's nothing wrong with facts. Facts do not care about your feelings. They are facts. But the problem with those facts is that they exclude other facts, or at least opinions that are damn near on point. So, for instance, for Michael Jordan, anyone who says the Bulls were the best team between 91 to 97 except for the 2 years that they didn't win the championship, which was 94, 95, because the Rockets won both those years. Anyone who says the Bulls were the best team between 91 and 97, 98 even, you know what? You're right. I don't think anyone would really argue that too much, aside from those 2 years that Houston won. It would have been nice to see Chicago versus Houston. Whew, that would have been really nice. Anyone who argues and says, the Bulls were the best, on point. I don't think anyone is going to argue the opposite. Another fact, Kobe Bryant having 5 rings, 3 of those MVPs went to Shaquille O'Neal, so Kobe Bryant was not even the most important player on that team. Not that it takes away from what he did for that team, because obviously he's Kobe freaking Bryant, so it's not like he didn't have any impact. But even the last 2 series, or the last 2 championships they got, I think one of those series, he kind of was horrible. But he got it because sometimes it's just what happens. Like the Peyton Manning 2006 Super Bowl, I think he didn't have a good game. And Ray Lewis had 7 tackles in 2000, and he got an MVP award. And there's a few, NFL MVPs for Super Bowls that, or people from the NFL that got MVPs that just didn't really have great games, but because they are the marquee person, they're going to get that award. And I think because Kobe was obviously the marquee person for those 2 final championships for the Lakers that he got, he was going to get those. He was going to get those. And, I can't say that anyone else really deserved those MVPs more than Kobe, but it wasn't like he blew away the competition. So just throwing that out there as well. And other facts that LeBron, for LeBron. So you got Michael Jordan being on the best team. Kobe, another fact is that Shaq got, 3 MVPs. And then another fact for LeBron James would be is that he plays with people who are not all-stars. He plays with people who are not bona fide Hall of Famers, So obviously Kobe played with Shaq and was coached by Phil Jackson. Nobody can say Phil Jackson was a shit coach because that would be stupid. Michael Jordan played with Scottie Pippen and was also coached by Phil Jackson. LeBron, he's played with Dwayne Wade and with, what was the other guy's name? I can't believe I forgot it. The dude who was in Toronto. I don't even remember his name because he's not even in the league anymore. But that's because he has a serious blood injury or something like that, like a blood condition. But when he came over from the Raptors and played, he wasn't that good anymore. His role lessened, and he wasn't needed that much. And LeBron kind of obviously took over because that's just what he does. And then LeBron's coaches, who have they been? Spoelstra, David somebody, Tyronn Lue, Mike Brown. These are not Hall of Fame coaches by any stretch of the imagination at all. Ever. I don't even know who his first coach was when he was in Cleveland. Was it Hubie Brown? I don't even know. But overall, the point is that you can sit here and use all these various facts to support your argument. And once again, anyone you pick to say, oh, this person's the best, this person's the best, this person's the best, I'm sure you're right in your world. I'm sure the facts that you're using, of course, are legit as long as they're true and, they're verifiable and everything like that. But when it comes to something like this, these arguments are very silly at some point because LeBron plays a different position than Michael Jordan. Jordan and Kobe both were shooting guards. LeBron plays small forward. And he handles the ball a lot, too. So that kind of tells you something like there, too. Oh, it looks like LeBron also plays power forward. Oh, and shooting guard. So he plays 3 positions. My goodness. He's also 6'8", 250. He drives a lot. Anyway, irrelevant. But anyway, the whole point is that you're going to sit here and use all these various facts to support the person mostly that you probably like. This isn't even about true facts anymore because if you were going to present true facts, you would just lay everything out there instead of selective pieces of information. Like I said, with Shaquille O'Neal winning the first 3 MVPs and the Bulls being the best team. Well, yeah, if you're the best team in the league, of course you're going to win. You know, you had a superstar, mega superstar player, Michael Jordan. Of course you're going to win. It's like the Golden State Warriors. They got a mega superstar in Steph Curry. Well, they're the best team in the league, and then they added Kevin Durant. So of course they're going to win more games. And LeBron is going up against that team. He's gone up against them, 3 or 4 years in a row? And right now, he just eliminated the Raptors yesterday or Monday. Yeah. So he's going to be in the Eastern Conference Finals again. I think if he and the Cavaliers win this next one against the Celtics or the 76ers, he will be in the finals again, I believe, for the 8th straight time, 9th overall. Yeah. That's crazy. And no one really gives him props for that. They say, yeah, but he lost this many. Magic lost 4 and won 5. Why does that even matter? Even being there is something to be said, because now he's spending most of his career in the finals. How many people can honestly say that in the game of basketball that played more than 10 years, that they spent most of their career in the finals? Maybe Bird? Maybe Magic. Other than that, I don't know if there's too many that can say they spent a majority. Let me see. He's a 14-time All-Star. He joined the league in 2003, and he's already been to the finals 8 times. That's a majority. That's a majority spent in the finals. You got to give the guy credit. And people could say, "Oh, but Jordan never lost in the finals." Yeah, but look at all those years Jordan didn't go to the finals. Oh, but Kobe, he only lost, once or twice? No, they lost twice in the finals. And then someone will say, oh, see, he didn't lose that many times as LeBron. Yeah, but they still lost, but no one ever brings up that loss record. And that's why these arguments are so disingenuous. My new phrase, intellectually, let me rephrase it, let me say that, intellectually dishonest. Because there's information that you could be using that you're not using, just because you want to support your argument. And so it's really not about what the truth is. I mean, of course, it's all just opinion anyway. But it's really just about slapping the back of the guy that you like and just saying, hey, you're my favorite, and here's why I like you the most. So no matter how many points, rebounds, assists you average per season, in the postseason, whatever, can't we just appreciate all 3 of these players? And even if Kobe gets taken out of the argument, because that's happening. That's happening right now. Kobe's getting taken out of the argument, and it becomes between Jordan and James. And while that could be a fair discussion just to have, still it's like we're overlooking the greatness of another individual because of another individual. Can't we just appreciate the both of them? I mean, if you really want to compare people back and forth, you probably need to do it for people within the same era. Okay, so Jordan came in 82, 83. Kobe came in 96. That's 14 years later, or 13 years later, and, Jordan is well into his 30s. And then by the time LeBron James came around, I think Jordan had retired. So LeBron's 18. Kobe came in at 17, 18. And so 7 or 8 years later, he's 24, 25 years old, and then LeBron comes in at 18. And yeah, they played most of their careers during the same time, and they played each other. And I don't even know what the face-to-face was as far as Cavs versus Lakers or Heat versus Lakers, while Kobe and LeBron were playing for both teams. I do remember going to LeBron's first game in Staples because I was like, this kid is going to be amazing. And I don't remember who won, but I do remember watching that game and seeing Kobe go down with an injury. And that was when they had Karl Malone and they had Gary Payton, and Shaq was there too. Well, that was an old team. But anyway, they played in kind of different eras in a sense. And like I said, they didn't all play the same position. So there's so many other things that go into these arguments that are just not being brought up in these arguments. And we're just missing out on so much greatness that LeBron has. I mean, that one-handed floater, oh my God. to end Game 3 on Cinco de Mayo, that was a great shot. But if we're going to sit here and say, oh, that was the greatest shot of all time, I mean, that's just an opinion. You can't tell me the Michael Jordan shot over the Cavaliers, over Craig Elo, wasn't a dope shot. You can say the one against the Jazz in the finals because he pushed off on Brian Russell wasn't a great shot because he pushed off and no one called it because, well, it's Michael freaking Jordan. You don't call that in the finals. And Kobe, some game winners. I know he's had some. I can't remember anything off the top of my head, but I know he's had some game winners too. So, I mean, can't we just appreciate the greatness that all three of these players bring? You know, do we have to sit here and talk about, you know, I love football, but can't we just appreciate guys who played during the same era, like Emmitt Smith, Barry Sanders, guys like that? Can't we just say, man, it was great watching both of them? You know, if you really want to do your, you know, NFL top 100, your NBA top 100, fine. But even then, it's all based on opinion of facts. Who's going to weigh this heavier than this? Who's going to weigh that heavier than that? And it's not that anyone's wrong. It's just that it's different. It's just that it's different. So for me, I'm not getting involved in these arguments anymore. I don't even watch the videos that cover these arguments anymore. Mike Greenberg from the ESPN the other day, he had a video about, I don't know, a minute long or so, just talking about if LeBron isn't in your, you know, top discussion of all time now you're just being a hater, and haters going to hate. He doesn't have to be number one, but if you're just going to hate on him still, that's on you, because the guy is doing so much and he's done so much. You know, his game, his point average in the regular season has increased in the playoffs. You got to give somebody credit for that. I mean, he was hitting 40, 45 a game against the Pacers, and he kind of had to. I mean, they were about to lose that series, and what happened? He turned it on and took that shit over. And then 4-game sweep of the Raptors. Raptors were the number one ranked team. When is the last time the Lakers with Kobe Bryant or the Bulls with Michael Jordan beat the number one ranked team? If it's never happened, then maybe someone should say, hey, this dude's kind of, for being, you know, a great player or the chosen one or the king, etc., all that little stuff, kind of an underdog at times. At times, not always, but at times. With the teams that he's had, SNL had a skit. It was really funny. Just a bunch of random guys saying, "Hey, LeBron, we got your back, and you know we support LeBron, and you know we're his teammates." And these are dudes that they're just basically making fun of the fact that these guys are not famous. You know, I mean, obviously Kevin Love and Kyrie, they did their thing, but mostly the people on the Cavaliers, since LeBron was there the first time and that he's been there now, like, no one knows who these people are. I heard one name the other night in Game 4. I forget what his name is now, but he was having a hell of a game. He had like 6 points in a row in the first quarter, and I have no idea what his name is. That's the point. He plays with a bunch of nobodies a lot of times, and I think because of that, and J.R. Smith, he had a great game too, but I don't want to overlook that, but he plays with a bunch of nobodies sometimes, and I think that gets overlooked. And it's almost like, well, Kobe did it by himself, or Jordan did it by himself, and just like, no, he didn't. Neither one of them did. And stop overlooking Phil Jackson, who's a Hall of Fame coach, who got 3, 6, 11 championships with those two teams, the Bulls and the Lakers. Are you kidding me? Come on, man. But haters going to hate. So if you still hate LeBron James and you don't like the way he plays, I mean, I understand the flopping thing, but you know what? That's like drawing a foul in basketball. That's what it is. Or drawing a penalty in football. Yeah, you overact a little bit, and you shouldn't flop, because I think now they're penalizing people for it. But if it helps you win a game, what's more important? Looking cool to some fan who's, 2,000 miles away and has no impact on the game, or making sure that your team is following your lead and doing everything that they can to win, even if that means pulling someone's shorts while they're trying to shoot, while they're trying to run away from you and get an open shot, whatever it is. I'm not saying cheat. I'm just saying are you doing everything you can to win this game? I can't blame somebody for flopping. Yeah, it looks stupid and looks silly, and some of them, they add gunshots to them, and you see them fall out, and you're like, oh my God, that looks so stupid. But you got to do whatever you can to win a game. If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. Next topic. Mama always said, life is like a box of MAGA. Oh, you never know what Kanye's going to tweet. So a couple weeks ago, I was on a Facebook break, okay, because sometimes I just need to get away from shit. And during this Facebook break, I was still using Twitter, which was interesting because, well, I didn't use Twitter as much as I would have used Facebook, but I definitely was using Twitter a lot. And I thought, this is kind of defeating the purpose, but whatever. During that time, I found out Kanye had tweeted out a hat or a picture of him wearing a Make America Great Again hat. The real thing. I don't know if it was a gift or he bought it or it was given to him, whatever, I don't know. Doesn't matter. But he was wearing it in support of Donald Trump and saying he's all about free thinking and all this kind of stuff. And after tweet after tweet after tweet, just tweeting his ass off. It was ridiculous. It was absolutely ridiculous. And then I think within that week, he also released two singles. One called Lift Yourself. Lift yourself up on your feet. It actually sounded kind of nice. The beat kicks in. It was really, really dope. Actually, well, not really, really dope. It's not his best work. It was probably just like some shit he did in like 10 minutes. I mean, to be honest with you. And then he started rapping. And he used words like poop-de-scoop, poopity-scoop, scoop-de-loop. There was no coherence to what his message was. It was literally just lyrics like that. There was nothing. He prefaced it and said these next bars, are hot or whatever he said, and he went in and just started rapping nonsense. Not like the Migos, but just like, what are you talking about? What is poop-de-scoop? I don't understand. And he just kept rapping that kind of over and over and over again. And you're like, what the hell is going on? And then he gets on TMZ. And he has a full 45-minute episode, like with commercials and everything. I'm sure it was about an hour. And he was talking about how, if you guys know of the Dog Pound, Snoop's group with Corrupt, Daz, Nate Dogg, and Snoop and some others, Superfly, etc. Daz Dillinger from the Dog Pound apparently had a hit out on Kanye. Kanye took it to be like, well, it's like a big brother wanting to kind of put you in line, put you in check, and say, hey, you're messing up. I'm actually surprised that Kanye knows who Daz Dillinger is. No offense to Daz, I'm just saying it's the music industry. How do you not know, I guess? Anyway, Daz has been around for like 20 plus years. Holy shit, that's a long time. Probably like 26 years. Anyway, so he didn't take it as a negative. And then he said something, it was such a weird transition, and maybe I'm missing something, or maybe I'm not. But he transitioned it into, it's like slavery. After 400 years, it's a choice. And I thought to myself, the fuck? What do you mean a choice? And this is where the conversations really just exploded between people. Black folks, white folks, Nazis, skinheads, etc. are totally agreeing with him. Nazis and skinheads, yeah, blame the slaves for being slaves. It was almost like, yeah, take the pressure off the white man. We didn't do anything wrong. It's the slaves' fault for being slaves. It's like blaming a victim. It's like if a girl's walking home and she gets raped, that's your own fault. You shouldn't have done that. You shouldn't have walked home? Well, she shouldn't have walked down that alley. It's the only way for her to go home. That's where she lives. Like, what is she supposed to do? Like, not go home? Like, when do you start blaming the person for doing something wrong instead of putting the onus on the person for being a victim? Not being irresponsible. Like, I'm not going to leave my wallet in the street and just think, it's going to be there in the morning. That's irresponsible. Walking home is not being irresponsible. Being enslaved is not being irresponsible. It's not a fair thing to say being enslaved was a choice. And I kind of get what he's trying to say, I think. Meaning, after so long, you're making a choice not to rebel or not to fight or not to kill yourself. But in the true essence of choice, the spirit of choice, like I made a choice to go back to doing audio podcasts instead of a video one today. Okay? That was my choice. No one forced me. No one forced my hand. Okay? That's choice. But if you enslave me and then say, well, you know what? If you run, I'm going to kill your children. It's not really a choice anymore, is it? Someone could say, yes, it is. Yes, it is. But in the true essence, I know we're not, I mean, that's like further and further. But in the true essence of choice, it's not a choice. You want your kids to be killed? No. I don't know what I would do in a situation like that. It's very privileged, in my opinion, for anyone to say, especially when they benefit from the strength of slaves, the African slaves, to say, well, they had a choice. Screw you. What kind of person are you to sit there and tell someone who was enslaved, well, you had a choice, you should have killed yourself or run or tried to rebel? Who says they didn't? I'm sure there's some people who didn't. Sure. But what about those who did? Are you shitting on them? Saying, oh, well, it's your fault you were still enslaved? Jeez. It sounded like the most insensitive thing I've ever heard. But this is what this dude does. He gets on a microphone, he gets in front of a camera, and he's off on something. He's off on some rant. You know, it started after the Hurricane Katrina, and he said George Bush didn't like black people, and people were not happy with that one. And then it continued. And after Taylor Swift had won for, I think, like Album of the Year, Video of the Year, whatever. Yeah, I think it was Video of the Year. And he said Beyonce deserved. He said, Taylor, I'm going to let you finish. But, yeah, Beyonce deserves this award. He always has rants. I think he had a rant about Pepsi and not wanting to be the suit and tie guy. This was after Justin Timberlake and Jay-Z did a song, Suit and Tie. And maybe after Jay-Z had done more suit and tie type videos where, like, what was the one? I can't even remember the name of the song. I can't even remember. It was 2013, that album. Yeah, I'm lost. Anyway, but yeah, where he was wearing more suits and ties and things like that and rapping about Tom Ford. Like, I think Kanye said he didn't want to be that kind of person. I don't know what that meant, but that's what he does. He gets in front of a microphone or in front of a camera and he just starts saying what he thinks, whether we understand what the hell he's talking about or not. And people keep buying into what he's doing, meaning they're still buying tickets to go see his shows and stuff like that. But anyway, back to the whole Kanye conversation about slavery and everything. It was really polarized. It was really interesting to see how people would respond to that. I mean, the memes of Kanye West being a white man were interesting, and Snoop turning him into a white man, and it was just really interesting to see how people responded. SNL had a spoof. If you've seen the movie A Quiet Place, great movie, by the way. They spoofed Kanye West in it, and they called it A Kanye Place. And I don't want to ruin it for people, but if you haven't seen A Quiet Place, or you haven't, if you haven't seen A Quiet Place, it's going to kind of ruin the movie a little bit. But basically, I'll give you the premise of the movie. You just have to be quiet to avoid these monsters, and every time you're too loud, the monsters come get you. That's you kind of get that from the previews of the movie anyway, the trailer. But anyway, so I don't want to ruin the SNL skit, but definitely check it out. And they're reading Kanye tweets, and shit happens. So you can go on YouTube and type in A Kanye Place, and you can see the spoof there. But it's kind of just what happened in reality, in real life. You know, Kanye tweeted some shit, and all of a sudden people are in an uproar, and then we're swept into the conversation. And the monsters, essentially, meaning maybe our anger, our disgust, whatever, takes over. Maybe the troll in us takes over. and we start saying things that maybe we wouldn't typically say because we're pissed off or because we want to troll, whatever it is. I was disappointed personally in what he said. I know he's all about free thinking. He's always been about free thinking. I'm not opposed to that. But when free thinking rolls into supporting this president that is in front of us, Donald Trump, I can't support that. Because knowing everything that he's done and said since running and up to today, how do you support that and say everything is good enough? From the skinheads, Nazis, whatever, white supremacists who were running the streets and supported Donald Trump, and they killed somebody and shot other people and beat people up. Like, what the fuck? And I'm not voting, I didn't vote for Hillary. But do you think Nazis and white supremacists would have supported Hillary? You know what I mean? Like, I'm just saying. Or Gary Johnson? Like, this is what this guy brings along by the stances that he has. And now you're going to say you're supporting free thinking and you're supporting Donald Trump. Like, it's like the biggest troll of all time or the stupidest shit I've ever heard. It makes me mad, to be honest with you. I mean, I'm always going to like Kanye's music. Even that, Lift Yourself beat, it's kind of nice. I have all of his old albums from 808s and Heartbreak, College Dropout, Late Registration, Graduation Day. My favorite album is Dark Twisted Fantasy. I even like the Good Friday stuff. That was amazing. That's where I first heard Big Sean. I think I first heard J. Cole on there. There was a track that really sits well with me, which is surprising, but it's Justin Bieber, Raekwon, and Kanye. Or the remix to Power with Kanye and Jay-Z. And I think, is it DJ Clue or Funk Flex or somebody? I forget who the DJ is on it. Showtime. Oh, it's me, bitches. I forget what the name of the dude is. No. Who's Alicia Keys' husband? That guy. That's who's on that song too. He's not rapping. He's just doing ad-libs and stuff in the background. But either way, my point is, I'm always going to like this dude's music that he's already come out with. And I tried listening to the song he did with T.I., where it's Kanye Ye versus the people, Kanye versus the people. Ye versus the people. And it talks about, like, Kanye takes his stance about free thinking and this, that, and the other thing. He starts it off with a comparison, saying, when Obama was president compared to when Trump became president, then Kanye really knew he could become president himself. So he's saying, in my opinion, yes, a black man won presidency, and that gave people a lot of hope that they could become president. But when Donald Trump, a regular citizen, became president, then that gave, or even maybe a TV star became president, then, which is so stupid, then it made Kanye believe that he, also a TV star, superstar, megastar, whatever, could also become president without having any background in politics at all, just having opinions, which I find really interesting. But hey, who am I to judge? Anyway. I tried listening to that song, and T.I. plays the role of the people who disagree with Kanye, what he's doing, and what he's saying, and it's just shit. I mean, it's shit. Am I going to listen to the new album when it comes out? Probably so. I'm not going to lie. I mean, I've always been interested in what he comes out with. Even the Yeezus album, he had the song Black Skinhead. It's a dope track. That's a really, really dope track. Matter of fact, it's on my WWE 2K18 game, and I hear that song at least 3-4 times a week, or maybe a day. I'm not sure. But it's a dope song. Even on shitty albums, he still has dope songs. 808s and Heartbreak is another album I do not like, but I can't get away from the song Paranoid. Why are you so paranoid? That's a dope song. He's got some other dope songs on there too. So even his crappy albums have good songs. So I'm still going to listen to Gold Digger and stuff like that because those are dope songs. But new stuff, can't listen to it anymore. I can't support. I'm not going to be buying any of his albums. I'm not going to be. I've never been to a show anyway, so I'm not going to be going to any shows that he's at. I even heard that he had some presentation of some product or some clothing, something, or shoe in Australia, and no one showed up to it. That's just hearsay. I don't know if it's true or not. But still, if people are really backing off of this dude because of everything he's just done in the last couple of weeks, then I don't blame them. You don't want to be associated with people who are absolutely crazy and doing stupid, crazy shit. You know, I found it interesting, actually, kind of a contradiction that he had when he was going off on TMZ, and he was getting excited and he wanted to get people's attention. Because it was just him, Harvey, and the black dude with the braids. They were all talking on camera, and he wanted to get other people's opinions on what he was saying, and he was going to stand on a chair and ask them what they thought. And he actually said, I was going to stand on a chair, but the last time someone stood on something and talked to someone, you know, people kind of went crazy. And he said, you know, on Oprah, Tom Cruise, and people knew exactly what he was talking about with the couch thing. But he's talking about free thinking and kind of just doing your own thing anyway, and as opposed to doing what society says you should do. So if you're going to be a free thinker and do what you want to do, as opposed to doing what you think you should do, then stand on a chair. But he didn't want to. So it's kind of like, are you in this or not? You know, and granted, there's no perfection. Obviously, no one's perfect. But for where he was in his conversation, to not then stand up on that chair just seemed really interesting to me. I mean, who cares? And I'm glad the dude Van from TMZ called Kanye out and said, actually, I think what you're saying is a lot of nonsense and it doesn't make any sense. And he went off on him and he said, I'm disappointed in you. And he let him know. And Kanye kind of said something that was a little off-putting. He said, I'm sorry I hurt you with my words, which makes it sound like it's just word. But see, here's the thing about words. And I know words technically don't hurt unless they actually are intended to hurt. So words can hurt, they can be disappointing. But the thing here is, words, to me, reveal how people think. And when it comes to bills and laws and politics, etc., how people think can be dangerous. You know, we're not talking about DACA and DAPL. That kind of stuff really matters when it comes down to it, you know. And that can really affect people. And it did, obviously, right? Those kind of opinions someone might have against the native people or the native people land, or against Hispanic people who live here and had a deal already to stay, to have an opinion about those people that's negative, and then enacted upon by passing a bill or supporting a bill or a law or what have you, or ending something that was already put into action. That's where thoughts and actions can be really, really hurtful. Even more so than just presenting them. You know, someone could tell me and come up to me and say, I don't like black people. Well, that hurts. You know, especially if it's someone I know. Yeah, it's going to hurt. But it's going to hurt even worse if there was ever a law to re-enslave black people and that person voted for that. Now it's like your words really do hurt because the way you think was shown by your actions. So just because you think something and you say something doesn't mean there's no consequence to that. And I think that's either what Kanye's not getting, or he doesn't care, or he knows, but he's just still going to do his thing because he believes that it's funny and he wants your attention. Well, you got our attention now. And I don't know if it's really what you wanted fully the way that you got it, but you got it. Next topic. USA Today last week had a story about a high school football coach in New Jersey. My buddy Paul, Blind Paul, told me this story. We talked about it last week. This New Jersey football coach at a high school was fired after allegations of racial issues. Now, immediately I thought, oh boy, he said something to somebody racially. Nope. I'm going to read this little bit of this article for you. Nick Strom, who was... let me go back. A New Jersey high school football coach who alleged he was being forced out of a job because he had too many black players on his team has been fired. Nick Strom, who was also fired from his position as a golf coach at Camden Catholic in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, and placed on administrative leave as a teacher, made the allegations after learning he wouldn't be asked to return to teach history next school year. I think this, for me, not conforming with their viewpoints on what they want the student body and the football team to look like, Strom alleged. I've tried to build this program into one that's based on kids being of ability, high character, and high grades. From day one, the administration told me they did not approve the ratio of black to white students. Camden Catholic President Mary Whipke denied the allegations Monday. We are not that kind of environment, and we take it very seriously when those accusations are made, Whipke told the Courier Post in an interview. This is a special community here. We embrace our diversity here. Those accusations are not true. Earlier in the day, the school released a statement defending its actions and criticizing Strom. We do not comment on personnel matters, but it has come to our attention that he has chosen to muddy the reasons for his dismissal with baseless accusations against the school and administration, it read. Any concern about racism or racial insensitivity is taken seriously and investigated fully. Several students walked out Monday in support of Strom. So they haven't even said why they released him. He had his opinion. He had his, and I'm sure he's had conversations with the school president, the Camden Catholic president, Mary Whipke. I'm sure he's had conversations with her. And I got, a little insider scoop from my buddy Paul there, that the golf team was predominantly white, and the swim team was predominantly white. So let me get this straight. You can have predominantly white teams, but you can't have a predominantly black team. And that's where the issue kind of comes up as why the inconsistency, why the hypocrisy. I took it as maybe it's someone trying to make a political statement without addressing it as a political statement, because obviously then you're going to get fired for your own ineptitude. But maybe someone believes, hey, if you can be fired or reprimanded for not having enough black players, then you should also be fired for having too many black players, But in essence, it's like, well, if the best players are the best players, then that's just what it is. If black kids or Latino kids or Asian kids don't try out for swimming and you only get white kids, well, then that's just what it is. That's just what it is. Or golf. Those are not sports that minorities typically play. So if only white kids try out for golf, that means only white kids make it. You don't just throw on a black kid just because. That's dumb. That's dumb. And with football, there's only so many players you can have. I don't know how they do it at this school or in this district. I mean, it's Jersey, so I don't, it's not where I'm from. But let's say you can only have 60 kids, or maybe 70. Not everyone's going to play anyway, because really not everyone's that good. And sometimes you kind of just keep people on because you keep people on for injury's sake. But you don't want to keep somebody on that can't play. I mean, I know we did that in freshman, and no one ever got cut freshman year or sophomore year in high school. Everyone made the team, I believe. There's some people who really didn't deserve to make the team, but they did. So if there are no cuts and you could just leave a few people on, then by all means, leave some kids on. But if you have to cut people and you have to get down to a certain number, you want the best. You want the best. And I don't blame this guy for not trying to turn this in, for not trying to, appease the school president. Yeah, he's lost his job, but if he has evidence of these conversations and other teachers can say, yep, I was told the same thing, or I was told this, or maybe a previous teacher, or not teacher, but coach was told something about the football team as well, then maybe this is it. Maybe he has a point and he has a case against the school or against the school district or something. Because that would suck to be fired for not trying to make a team diverse if it's based on athletic ability. It just doesn't make any sense. Like, if it's just based on ability, that's just what it is. I'm so tongue-tied because I'm like, this is so stupid. If everything he's saying is absolutely right, this is going to be the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Well, that is until this next one. Next topic. NBCPhiladelphia.com. This piece written by Darren Price last week Track and field poop mystery solved after a New Jersey superintendent caught in the act, police say. You're like, wait, what does that mean? I'm telling you. This superintendent from the New Jersey schools is facing public defecation charges after police said he was caught pooping near another school's track and football field. Pooping. Look, I get sometimes you've been running and you're like, oh man, I gotta piss real quick, and you gotta go do your thing. Pooping? I don't know. I've never pooped in public before, but apparently it kept happening. Like, numerous times it kept happening. Let me see here. It says, Kenilworth Public Schools said in a Facebook post Thursday that Superintendent Thomas, I'm going to try this last name, Tramaglini, was placed on paid leave after he was arrested for allegedly defecating at Holmdel High School on Monday. Given the nature of those charges, he was asked for and granted a paid leave of absence. Leaves can only be without pay in the face of indictments or tenure charges as a matter of state law, the district said in the post. According to police, a school resource officer and staffers at Holmdel High School began surveilling the track after learning that someone was leaving feces on the track and football field on a daily basis. Yeah, that's definitely intentional. It was during one of the stakeouts the authorities allegedly caught the 42-year-old Tramaglini of Manawan in the act. According to NJ.com, which first reported the arrest, school employees were monitoring the track before 6 a.m. when they spotted Tramaglini, who was running at the time. In addition to defecating in public, he was charged with lewdness and littering. So, yeah, that happened. I'm really surprised that some guy would actually sit there and poop on a football field. Like, what was the point? Was he mad at certain schools for doing something or not doing something? Sometimes, man, you just think like, what the hell are people doing? What are you doing? It's like one of my old football coaches. Johnson, what are you doing? What are you doing? You got the play wrong. My bad, coach. My bad. But this guy, 42 years old, pooping on the field. That's really sad. It's really, really sad. It's pretty shitty, as a matter of fact. But hey, pooper's going to do what pooper's going to do. Next topic.
That's not fair. That's fair. That's fair. Not fair. Fair. Not fair. That's not fair. That's not fair.
That's not fair.
I don't like it when you be unfair. It makes you frustrated. Ooh.
Time for another episode of Fair, Not Fair. And I gotta say, anyone who jumps in a comment section or on Twitter or on Facebook and hates on this video is probably someone who is completely oblivious to what the point is of this video. And it took me a couple looks, but it really took someone else's analysis of the video. The video is only 4 minutes long. But it took someone else's analysis, a couple of them, for me to say, okay, now I got it. Now I really, really got it. The video in question is This Is America by Childish Gambino. Donald Glover, this is the same guy who's playing Spider-Man, I think, in an upcoming movie this year. He did the Atlanta show. He was on SNL this past weekend. What else did he do? He's done a lot of stuff. This guy, he used to be on Parks and Rec. I think he was on SNL before as an actual cast member before. I'm not 100% sure, but either way, this song is on point. Well, the song's on point, but the video more so artistically is on point. And I'm going to play parts of it to kind of explain what the video's about. So the first part that's shocking to people is when he comes in dancing and someone is sitting in a chair and they have a hood over their head. And then all of a sudden, Childish Gambino has a gun and he shoots the person in the back of the head. The person falls out of the chair. Childish Gambino turns around and gives the gun to someone, I think a kid, gives the gun to a kid, and the kid has like a cloth or something like that. And some might say it's symbolizing, wiping your prints off of a gun. But on the other side of that could be look at how careful people are to take care of guns rather than human life. Because after the gunshot and the guy falls out of the chair, he's just left there. I think someone actually drags him off. Yeah, they just drag him off. And there's people running around in the background, and Childish Gambino's kind of dancing around and doing his song and stuff like that, and kind of just having a good time. And then there's like 4 kids who join him, and there's all types of shit going on in the background. Like, there's other people dancing, there's people running around. I think there's like fights and things happening. There's cops and stuff all throughout the video. And then there's another shocking part that happens. And people, from what I saw on Facebook, were kind of outraged by the fact that it happened in the video. And then I'm going to talk about the reality of why this should not be an outrage for a video, but reality. There's a part where he walks through a door and there's a choir. And there's like 10 people in a choir singing. And while they're singing, he's singing and dancing and stuff too. Then all of a sudden he gets a gun. I think it's an AK-47 or maybe an AR-15. Probably an AR-15. And once again, he turns around and then shoots all those people. And then he gives the gun to someone who also has this cloth again, showing care for the gun. Very NRA, right? Care for the gun and not for the people. Thoughts and prayers for the people, but you're not taking these guns because we need these guns, etc. It's like no one really cares about human life. And it's interesting also, I think one of the other points they made was just how quick you go from tragedy to tragedy to tragedy. And it's just like, it's just normal. That's just what we do. After, what was that, October, and it was the killing, it was the sniper dude from Las Vegas killing everybody, and within a couple of weeks, something else happened somewhere else, and then within a few weeks, something else happened somewhere else. So it's like every couple of weeks, something else is happening. I mean, we've gone from that to Stormy Daniels to the Parkland, Florida school shooting. There was another school shooting like right after that, like the same week. It's just like, come on, man. And I'm not blaming people for jumping from tragedy to tragedy. I'm blaming America for allowing these tragedies to continue to happen. People often say, why can't we be more like, this country or that country? I mean, we're just a different country and our culture is different. But maybe that's part of the problem is our culture. We are so in love with guns. We are so in love with violence. I think our movies are the most violent of all. Out of anyone who makes movies out of any country, I believe our movies are the most violent. Because we have the freedom to be that violent. And I think there's a point where too much freedom is a bad thing. And here we have the freedom to carry all these guns and have all these guns. And here we have all these people dying in schools. Kids dying in schools. Oh, freedom. The price you pay for freedom. That's a horrible tweet someone tweeted out last year. Or earlier this year. It's a shitty thing to say. It's the price you pay for freedom? Fuck you. It's horrible. These kids are dying while they're in school. School! That should be one of the safest places in the world. Come on. And I don't mean because it should be heavily guarded, but who wants to kill people in school? That's just wrong. This is horrible. But we care so much about guns. And no one says anything about, let's protect the children somehow. What, you're going to give them all guns too? So if we all have guns, that'll just make it better? Come on, dude. Really? We already had a situation where a teacher was given a gun because Trump was all about, if maybe we should give teachers guns, and I think some teacher ended up bringing a gun to school and shooting himself. Oops. Oops. I'm just saying there's got to be a different answer. But this is America. This is what happens in America. And the point of the dancing, from my understanding, too, is that how are kids supposed to, or how are people supposed to go from tragedy to tragedy to tragedy? They have to cope somehow, right? They have to cope somehow. So you kind of have to go back to just living your life. If you've never seen the movie Money Monster, is that the movie? Yeah, Money Monster. Great movie with Julia Roberts and George Clooney. I suggest everyone check it out because it is really good. Because it shows how you can have a tragedy on national TV and everyone's following. And as soon as it's over, people go back to living their lives. And nothing changes. You have big corporations screwing people over. Wells Fargo screwed people over some years back or a couple years ago. Nothing changed. Nothing changed. People are still using Wells Fargo as their bank, knowing that this other shit happened. Nothing changed. I think we feel powerless and helpless at some point, that we just can't overcome the power that is within America, within these big corporations and stuff. I think we kind of just feel dejected. Like it's just too powerful. There's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do because the government backs up the big corporations, and the big corporations could end up buying the little corporations that we could end up supporting. Or the little corporation becomes a big corporation because we support them too much. And then they become just like the other corporations. And it's just like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? This is America. What are you going to do? And at the end of the video, he's running down a dark hallway. Looks like he's in a basement of some sort, and he's sweating. He's got his gold chains, and you see his eyes, and you see his teeth in the darkness, and he's being chased. And then it gets a little bit lighter, and you see him get even more scared. And looks like he's either being chased or he's leading the pack of people running. Now, if he's being chased by, it could have been, maybe it's more coming out of the sunken place, that dark place, that place where you shouldn't be as a black man. It could be that. It could also be that he's being chased for maybe his message. People are after him, not in real life after him, but just on Twitter. Maybe people just are hating on his vision for this video, and he knew it was going to happen, so he's like, you know what? I'm going to run. I'm going to run. I'm reading one comment here on the video from Polar Bear, wow, I totally misread that. Plower Bear, and they did it on purpose, I'm sure they did. It says, and I totally feel this, if I'm being honest, I was so focused on the dancing, I didn't realize everything that was going on in the background. Wow, how we get distracted so easily. That's the truth. That is the absolute truth. I had a couple conversations with people last week about why are we talking about Kanye? We should be talking about this school doing this and this president doing that and this happening over here. And I'm like, you know what? We can talk about those things. And I'm right there with people who feel dejected and just like overrun. What are we going to do about them? There's nothing we can do about stuff sometimes, I feel, unless we're really just going to start revolting. And that's a whole nother level of, we'll probably all just end up locked down. But really, what are you going to do about it? No one changed anything from Facebook when Facebook was caught up in their shit, sharing our data. Anyone stopped using Facebook? Not a lot of us, I'm sure. So, what are we going to do? Nothing. And that's why we don't talk about it, because I don't think people really care. People don't really care because it takes a lot of effort. We live in a very privileged society where we have a lot of freedoms. We have the freedom to say slavery was a choice. We have the freedom to have a very violent movie. You ever seen what's a very violent movie? I don't even know. I don't really like violent. Oh God, Saw. The Saw series. That's just gore and disgust. I don't even watch those because it's not even good to me. I like a dope story like Halloween, which isn't even really super gory. I think there's like a couple of scenes in the first Halloween where I think Laurie Strode has blood on her. Let's see. Opening scene, no blood. I think blood happens on Michael Myers' hand when he hits the car window. You see blood on his hand after hitting the car window. You don't see blood again, I think, until he stabs Laurie Strode. Or until she breaks the glass. Yeah, he stabs Laurie Strode, which happened before she broke the glass in the kitchen before she could get out. And then, even when she stabbed him in Tommy's house, and when she stabbed him again, or no, when he got shot, like, there's no blood. Like, there was no blood almost in the entire movie, and that movie's scary as shit. But that's the freedom we have in America to make movies that are super scary, super violent, super gory. You know, how many movies have we had from Rambo to Commando to, I'm sure, The Expendables, where shit just blowing up? You know, I just saw Rampage. They destroyed an entire city. An entire city. I love the Justice League Unlimited and the Batman stuff and Superman and all that stuff, all the animated stuff. They destroy cities in every episode. An entire city can be destroyed at the end of an episode. And that's TVY7. That's for kids. And it's still destructive as hell. My goodness. My point is, this is America, and we have the freedom to do all these things. And because we have the freedom to do all these things, that's why all these things are happening. Man, what a way to go out after the first show in like a year plus. I want to thank you guys for tuning back in. I missed you guys. I missed doing these things, having my commentary on all these things. It's different when you're doing it live, because if you mess up or you lose your train of thought, there's no going back. It's just, that's it. You guys have no idea the couple of times where I got lost and forgot what I was going to say or didn't know what I was going to say next. So it's funny how you can edit stuff and make it work. But hey, it's just kind of funny. But anyway, I want to thank you guys for joining me. Once again, you can find me on Instagram, KJ from OC. I'm on Facebook, KJ from OC Podcast, Twitter, KJ from OC, and my personal page on Facebook, King Son John Man. That's KINGSONJOHNMAN. King Son John Man. All, 2 words like a last name, because it's KJ. You get it? You get it? You got it? Good. Next week, not sure what's going on next week, but we'll see what happens. I might be live next week. I might be doing live videos like once a month, and then doing audio ones 3 times a month. Yeah, I think that's probably what's going to happen. So anyway, you guys have a great rest of your week. Hope you enjoyed this, and if you didn't, tough, it was free. It's on YouTube. God bless. I'm out. Peace.